Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on this E90. We're going to be going over the parts you need, tools list, and also how to dispose of the oil. For the tools list, you're going to want to get yourself a ratchet, 3/8, your 17mm socket. This will be to remove the drain bolt. And you're also going to want this is the tool we're going to use to remove the oil filter here. And then if you do have one, just a small screwdriver or a pick, this will be used to remove the old gaskets from the filter. And then I have a BMW oil filter, but you don't need to get a BMW one. This really is just a man filter, as you can see right here. So a man filter will work just fine. The kit comes with the filter, a new set of O-ring gaskets, a new drain bolt gasket, and this small green one right here. If you're doing this on your driveway, you're gonna want to make sure you put that e-brake on. When you lift up the vehicle, you don't want any risk of the car rolling back on you. This car is a rear wheel drive, so it shouldn't roll back on you if you lift up the front. Just as a precaution, it's good to just put that e-brake on and go ahead and put a wood shock behind your car. Once you got your hood open, if you have the issue that I do where these shocks can no longer hold the hood up, I got a small pry bar, just propped it in between this bolt and I did in here, and it holds it up just fine. Just whenever, be mindful where you put it, wherever you put your prop. Try to put it like somewhere sturdy, somewhere like this. Definitely not on your headlight. This is very brittle plastic, so don't put it on here or here. Try to put it somewhere along this aisle here, or right around this bracket. To remove the oil cap, you're just going to want to twist in a counterclockwise motion and just lift up the cap, and then we'll get set up to remove that oil filter. When you're removing the oil filter, oil really likes to come out from this part right here and leak down into the engine bay on the side. So to prevent that, you can put a small rag right in here and then continue on doing the rest of these. And then just to let it drain out, I just pick it up and kind of set it on its side like this. That'll let the oil drain down back into the oil pan. When lifting the vehicle, you want to be mindful of where the lifting points are. We're going to rest the jack in this area, but in order to do that, you got to lift it further back. Because of how the engine is laid out, I prefer to only lift up the driver's side on this side and not lift up this side, because the drain bolt is facing this way, so this will help drain more oil out of the vehicle. All you gotta do is remove this little clip here so the flap can open. You can also lift this up and remove it completely if you'd like. To show you, here's that drain bolt. You can see how it's coming at an angle this way, so this will help drain more oil out of this oil pan. When choosing your oil drain bucket size, you want to make sure you don't get too small of a bucket. For example, say this one, its maximum capacity is only about 7 quarts. We're gonna get 6.5 out of this vehicle. So you could imagine this is gonna be about right at the tip when this is done filling back up. That's gonna be really hard to drain. So you wanna get something a little bigger. This is a 11 quart capacity. It's a little nicer, it gives you a little spout here, and it gives you a spot to drain your filter. So I'm going to be using the bigger size just so I don't have any spills when I go to remove this oil. One thing to keep in mind of when you're draining your oil, make sure it's not too hot, and wear gloves, something to protect your hands, because if this oil is really hot, like operating temp, and you start to drain this, that's going to be very painful. So hand protection, and make sure it's not at operating temperature. While the oil is draining, you can go ahead and remove this, and with this rag, just kind of hold it like this, flip it upside down, and then take it to where you can undo all this. So to remove your filter, you're going to want to grab it, kind of give it a good tug. Sometimes they'll be really stuck, so be careful, or just be mindful that you might need to pull on it a little harder. Now sometimes the center part can come out with the filter, and it'll actually be stuck inside there. So if this part does come out with it, you're gonna have to pull it out from the filter and stick it back inside there. If you don't have this part, one, you'll have this gasket here missing, and you're gonna get low oil pressure faults. Check engine light come on and all that. You can also cause a lot of damage to your engine. So make sure the center part is still intact inside here. And then to remove the gaskets, you take your pick, and just kind of get in the gasket here. Just work it around. Same thing with this one. This one can fly off. Not too careful with that, so just keep a good hand on it. And you want to get your new gasket. Just fold it in. Just move it up with some oil. And then your new gasket. Go right in here. Just work it around. Your hands are already oily, giving you the light golden oil. Right here will be perfect. And that'll be it. Just make sure it's seated correctly all the way around. And then you just get your new filter. Slide it in. And just wait till you hear that pop like this. And then you'll know it's fully inserted. And then we can put it back in the car. So now we can put the filter back inside. Just slides in. Turn it by hand first. Once you start to feel like kind of get some resistance, you can just put your socket wrench on and turn it all the way. Now this doesn't take much torque. So once you kind of see it reach the end stop, right there, so that kind of stopped already, you just need a little turn and that's it. Once you're done, just do a quick inspection, Make sure none of your gaskets are pinching out, so look all the way around. Make sure it's seated properly. So when you go to dispose of your old filter, I usually get the old box, set a rag over the top, just like this, and get the old filter and kind of push it down, and then you can just put your old gasket in the center, and you flip it this way. This will wrap the filter, so whenever you go to transport it to get rid of it, you won't risk it spilling all over your car. So make sure you remove the old gasket from the drain bolt. Just tugging it like this, it should come right off. And you just slide the new one in. If you don't have, if you remove this bolt and it's not attached to it, check the oil pan and make sure it's not on the oil pan, and just flick it off with your finger and then just put it back in like this. If your oil's coming down like this at a steady stream, it's honestly okay to just top it off right there. I removed oil pans when this has completely stopped and there's still oil in there. You're never gonna get it all out, so if you want to wait till this comes down all the way and you start getting like little drips, that's fine. But honestly, at this point, this is okay to just go ahead and put the drain bolt back in. Always start it by hand and run it down. One thing I'd like to mention too is if you're doing this in your driveway, it'd be a good idea to set down like some sort of tarp or cardboard box down on the floor. This will help prevent any oil spills getting on your concrete, because as we know, concrete and oil, they don't like to separate. They'll stay in there. And then you'll have your stain, and if you're doing this in your parents' house, they might get upset. So to just avoid all that, set down yourself a nice tarp or a cardboard box to catch any oil splats that may go around. I would go as far as to setting it from here all the way to the other side over there, and give yourself a really good radius, because oil sometimes is unpredictable and can fly around everywhere. So that's just so you don't dirty your front driveway. So go ahead and put your cover back on. It only goes one way. So you can put it on the slots. And you're good to go. Since we're under the vehicle, I wanted to show you a quick little tip. You can take a look at your thrust arm bushings while you're down here. Like this. This is the bushing here. And a lot of times, the hydraulic fluid can start to leak out, as you're seeing right here a little bit. And in really bad cases, it can leak down the side of this control arm. So just to give you a visual, this is the front right wheel, and the control arm that's sitting right here in the center goes to the front. It can start to leak from here. You can also look at the other side. Check that same thing. So here's the bushing here. You're always going to have this opened. You don't have to remove anything just to take a peek. Look to see if you have hydraulic fluid leaking out coming down the side right here. If you're not sure, this right here will, like when you go to press on your brake, if you give it like a quick little tap, you'll feel as if the front suspension's like shaking or moving around. A lot of times it's just this bushing right here. These aren't, this isn't something that you could probably do yourself unless you replace the whole arm. If you just want to do the bushing, that's gonna be a lot more difficult, but if you do the whole arm, you might be able to do it. You can knock off this bolt here, because these are pretty tight, and then sometimes they'll be stuck inside here and you might need to whack it off. But just a quick diagnostic tip, if you're pressing on your brakes and you feel like the front suspension's like shaking around or something's going like doop, 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 then more than likely these bushings right here are out. So once again, this engine takes 6.5 liters of oil. If you don't, I would recommend that you put a funnel down in here just so you don't spill around. But if you don't, then just try to eyeball it as best you can. And put a rag down just for any spills that you may have. And just go ahead and pour it in. So to dispose of the oil, what I usually do is just put the old oil back into the quarts that I used. Again, if you don't have a funnel, you can use a 2-liter bottle, cut out the bottom, and now you have a funnel right here. So just in case you're wondering, I do have funnels, but I'm only showing you this just in case you don't. It's a lot easier for me to just say what to do versus to actually show you. So this is what I mean. Just be careful you don't cut yourself. So once you got the bottom opened up, there you go, you have a funnel. Just like that. Just a word of caution for anyone trying to do this by themselves. This is not very secure. It's very flimsy. So as soon as you go to put some oil in here, this will fall off. So make sure you have someone holding the bottle and the oil, quart oil. So the last step would be to reset the oil service light. You're going to do that by inserting the key into the ignition slot. You're going to want to just cycle through all the prompts that come up using this BC button right here on the left side. So any warnings you have, just cycle through them till you get to about this screen here. Then you're going to want to press and hold this trip button. holding. Once the menu comes up, you can use this to cycle through all your services. And you're going to want to press and hold. That question mark will come up. Press and hold again. And then it will reset for you. And you're all done. Now you can just turn on your car. And just go outside, make sure everything's okay. You want to make sure that there's no oil leaking out of the seals over here. And then just take a quick look underneath. Make sure you don't have any oil spills. You'll be good to go.